where the death of a techie in Noida, just in the National Capital Region a few days ago. His name was Yuvraj Mehta. He drove into a lake that was beyond a construction site, which had no proper markings, no proper identification, and that sparked off huge outrage. And now there's even more outrage because there's been a video, there's a final video that's come out of this gentleman, Yuvraj Mehta. This video seems to have gone viral. We can go back and show that video, and you can see in that video, he's pleading to whoever is around him. There are some emergency workers, firefighters, etc. who are around him. He's pleading with them to save his life. He's clinging on to the roof of the car, clinging on to his dear life by just holding on to the roof of the car till the car completely submerges in that lake. What is shocking, and if we play the audio, you can hear some bits of this as well. What is shocking is those emergency rescue personnel who came there, whether it's the firefighters or other emergency personnel who reached there, they seem to be clueless about what to do, how to swim, how to save this man who was drowning, save this young techie, Yuvraj Mehta. This is despite the fact, and now News 18 has learned that as far back as 2023, 3 years ago, the Uttar Pradesh government had made it mandatory and written to all fire station chiefs that all fire service personnel across the state must necessarily know how to swim, how to rescue people. They need to know emergency response techniques, including, of course, saving people who are drowning. So clearly, these SOPs were not followed. The standard training was not given to these people. And you can see from that video how the rescue people who had reached there to save this man, they had reached there in time, but simply because they didn't know how to swim and how to rescue this dying young man, unfortunately, he died in the middle of the night. Now, there is a huge gap between policy and practice, and that is what has been exposed once again through this tragic death of this young man. Even as rescue personnel cited an inability to swim, which is their job, they are emergency rescue personnel, they should know how to swim, how to trek, how to deal with such extraneous circumstances and save people's lives. Official directives issued by the state government as far back as 2023 clearly say that emergency personnel need to know basic life skills. According to a formal order from the Uttar Pradesh Fire and Emergency Services Department, specialized swimming, diving and other training is compulsory for all fire service personnel. The directive further instructs officers to coordinate with local swimming centers to ensure that proper skills are developed. It also specifies that a 1-month structured training program must be arranged for all fire service personnel without exception. These instructions were officially communicated to all chief fire officers, deputy directors, fire department in charges throughout the state. But clearly, the people who rushed to save Yuvraj Mehta simply didn't know this, simply didn't have the skills to save him. So the question is, who will take accountability for this lapse in implementation? So far, the Noida CEO, the authority CEO, has been suspended for a finite period of time. There are some other officials who've been suspended as well. But is that deterrent enough? Will action be taken against the builders, the others in the authority who simply did not put the necessary signages, the necessary markings that were required, which would have said that there is danger ahead? None of that was present there, which led to the unfortunate and almost unnecessary death of this young man. I want to play out a short report from my colleague Simran before we open this up.
This is the fire department of Noida in the Sector 2. What you see behind me is the office of the fire department Noida here. And this is the only department that arrived on the unfortunate and that tragic night of 15th midnight when Yuvraj Mehta, the 27-year-old techie, had pleaded the department officials to save his life. Most of the officials here on that night, they said while his father watched him die, that they cannot enter the water as, in fact, it is too cold and there are iron rods that are present inside that water. This is a fire department official, in fact, office where there is, in fact, the CFO who also sits here, CFO Pradeep Kumar, in fact, who sits here. And now it has been 6 days since Pradeep Kumar has not given a statement on what has happened after the death of Yuvraj Mehta has happened and shocked the nation. How could fire department not be equipped?
Now, this was a perfectly avoidable tragedy. It was a disaster that was foretold and ignored. Residents had raised repeated alarms. The local MLA of the area had also flagged this off. Even the local MP, Dr. Mahesh Sharma, had flagged off the risks associated with this almost open pit that was left there with lots of water and other construction material. Letters were written, complaints were filed, but all of these warnings never translated into any concrete action. When the emergency struck, rescuers were unprepared, they were unqualified, they simply didn't have the skills to save this dying man. There was insufficient equipment, there was limited manpower, critical minutes were lost because the systems were not ready and the people who should have saved Yuvraj Mehta's life were simply not ready. A comprehensive stormwater management plan was drafted way back in 2015. It identified vulnerable zones, it gave out some solutions as well, and yet 10 years later, that has been largely unimplemented. In 2023, like I said, the fire department issued clear instructions that staff need to be trained. There should be particular readiness when it comes to swimming training. Those directives, again, which were meant to prevent exactly this kind of accident, but no one took it seriously. That training never happened. The result is that rescuers, whose job it is to save lives, refused to jump in to save Yuvraj Mehta because they didn't know how to swim. And perhaps the most shocking lapse of all, the Noida Authority doesn't even know who owns the land in question. This land was intended for a private mall to be developed. It was subdivided and sold to multiple developers after 2014. The Noida Authority admits it does not know which builder owns this specific portion of the land where this mishap took place. I want to go across to former IPS officer, former Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi, and a very vocal citizen's voice. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Isn't this, ma'am, a classic case of absolute apathy by officials of the Noida Authority, by the builder lobby, of course? And yet, what we are seeing is very on-the-surface action. There's some minor action that's been taken against the CEO of the Noida Authority. Some other officials have been suspended, etc. This is not a deterrent action. This is not an action that sends a chilling message down the spine of these officials or the builder lobby. What, according to you, ma'am, is more action that needs to be taken to send an absolute message of deterrence, to put the fear of the law in the hearts and minds of these officials?
Yes. Deterrence is only when very stiff exemplary action is taken. For instance, the exemplary action against the builder should have been his license suspension for some time at least, for some months, it should hurt where it hurts the most. Is his license to construct. That would be the message, that if you leave such like places which are accident prone and do not have the right kind of signages, and you will be held culpable, criminally culpable. So now criminal culpable and the license suspension would be a deterrent. I don't believe this has been done. Only arrest under the law, and he being bailed out after 1 week does not matter, and after a few months he'll be out. So I think whoever it is, unfortunately, whoever this builder is, needs his license to go.
Okay.
License to go, criminal liability, and even financial compensation equivalent to the loss of life. The techie would have earned thousands of crores and crores to earn for his life it's living, but he's lost it. So financial compensation of the loss. And secondly is the, as I told you, practicing license. And now comes administration. Identify who did not respond to the complaints urgently.
Yeah.
And whoever did not respond to the complaints urgently loses their job. Just as the builder loses the license, the government officials lose their jobs because it has cost life and limb. But that's what it is.
But ma'am, you look at that last video that's come out. What is even more shocking is that the final moments of this young man, Yuvraj Mehta, have been captured on camera. It's clear that there was first a delay in the firefighters and other rescue personnel reaching there. And even after they reached there, the fire service personnel, the police, they didn't know what was happening. They didn't have the skills to do what they had to do to save Yuvraj. Some of them, you can hear them, the police and the firefighters saying, or we don't know how to swim, the water's too cold. What action should be taken, in your view, ma'am, for all of those people who, this is clearly dereliction of duty. They didn't want to save this man. They couldn't save this man because they didn't have the skills, but they didn't want to save this man either. What exemplary action should be taken against these individuals? You can hear them say, and this is in front of his father, who is seeing his son die, that we can't help your son, the water's too cold, we don't know how to swim and save your son.
Our NDRF should become on call. NDRF should come on call. Just as fire brigade is on call, the moment you say fire, fire, a bell rings in their fire brigade and everybody's already on a steady position and they rush. Similarly, NDRF should also be on an emergency call. There should, when the NDRF control room, the bell goes, because you never know whether it's swimming required, whether it's a different kind of rescue, we do not know. Whether it's fire, we do not know. So the NDRF should also be on call exactly the way the fire brigade is, so that it's a multidisciplinary rescue team which reaches such. At the moment, they just have to assemble people. They just have to assemble. We don't have a fire brigade control room. Similarly, NDRF can also have a control room which is multidisciplinary, and anything, a call like this, NDRF rushes it, sees according to the situation, responds. I think we do not have a concept of NDRF control room, which is also an emergency call.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. For now, I think it's the central government that decides, as per the scale of whatever natural tragedy that happens, where the NDRF, and of course in the case of states, it's the state government that decides where SDRF needs to be deployed. But for the moment, thank you very much, Kiran Bedi. It really is an absolute shocker. You can hear from that audio fire service personnel, police personnel who had reached there. They managed to reach there, and this man was still struggling for his life. They could have saved him had one of them either had the skills to swim and go and rescue this young man, or simply had the intent to do so. Neither was there. Both were missing, and this young man has died.